Hi there, we're going to look at one-step division equation. So this is part 1 of 2, and it's kind of the explanation, and there'll be some practice, and then there'll be the part 2 video is just more questions that are, higher level. So like every other video I've been doing, I want to start out by making sure you know what a division question looks like. And there's kind of two types. You're either going to have like literally a division sign in there, which makes it pretty straightforward. And again, it can be on the left or on the right. Or it's going to be a question that looks like a fraction. And the variable is always going to be on the top, some kind of number on the bottom. And then on this side, it's usually going to be a whole number, but sometimes it'll be a fraction too. No big deal. I went to my handy dandy balance thing, and it did it's not set up to do this kind of question. So I tried to make it look great. So here's half an x. That's what this is supposed to be. So 0.5x is equal to 4. And what that means is this is balancing with that. So if I want the other half of my x, I need to add some +1 blocks. Now that's a pretty, that's a pretty poor explanation, but I found this handy dandy video. This one, it's worth watching. And actually I'm going to go through, let this lovely lady go through one example. If it doesn't 100% make sense to you, then it would be very clever for you to watch the entire video. So just give me a sec while I switch over.
Okay, so now we have division. So we looked at multiplication, positive numbers, multiplication, negative numbers. Now we have division. So the way that I show this, I still have x divided by 2, and I've got 3 positive. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and this x divided by 2 looks like this. Now it is divided by 2. I've divided it by 2. So this says that these 3 go into each one of these. So this would be positive 3 and positive 3. So my answer, I would add that up for the whole x, and that equals 6. And so let's put it back in. X divided by 2 equals 3. 6 divided by 2 equals 3. 3 equals 3. Check. And there should always be 3 lines in your check. There should be the equation, the substitution, and then the answer. So that looks good. Okay, so this is just representing x divided by 3 in a different way, x over 3. So let's take an x, and we want to show divided by 3. So that's divided by 3. And instead of pulling these bars, these squares up, I'm just going to represent it with lines. And we'll make them circles. There we go. And so that's negative 5. Okay? So this is saying negative 5 goes in each one of these. So that's negative 5, negative 5, negative 5. And so, of course, that adds up to negative 15. So let's try it out and see. X divided by 3 equals negative 5. Negative 15 divided by 3 equals negative 5. Yes, negative 5 equals negative 5. So that checks. Okay.
Okay, so I think she's brilliant. And it made it super simple. And let's bring it back to here. So much better than I would have done. All right, so there are 2 ways to solve division questions. I'm going to use the multiplication method here. And later on, when we get to 2-step equations, I'm going to show you how to do it cross-multiplying. I'm not fond of fractions. I find very few students who are fond of fractions. So I will often just cross-multiply the moment I see a fraction, because I'm in kind of a panic and it's like, oh my God, there's a fraction. Oh no, what am I going to do? And I just do it the same way every time. But multiplication one actually is shorter. So level 1 questions. A. Hold on. Gotta highlight my variables. Are pretty straightforward. So divide by 8. Now the inverse, of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply by 8, and we multiply by 8 on both sides. So A is equal to 80. And it's not more complicated than that. D divided by 10 is 10. So I'm going to multiply by 10. Multiply by 10, because the golden rule says whatever you do to one side of the equation, you need to do to the other. D is equal to 100. Multiply by 6, multiply by 6. H is equal to 6. Ta-da. Now here's one that's written in the other form. Well, really what this means is this fraction line is just a different way of writing division. So this is exactly the same as m divided by 4 is equal to 12. But sometimes, for whatever reason, the textbook or your instructor or me is going to write it this way. So if I multiply by 4 here, and I'm going to write it this way, and it doesn't really matter if I put times 4 like we're doing here, but just habit says do that. And you can see this kind of almost looks like one of those multiplication questions, because 4 here and that 4 there, that divides out to make 1, and you get m is equal to 48. Turn the camera off. I'm going to take a break. You turn the camera off, turn the video off, do the rest of the questions, and when you're done, turn the video back on and see how you do. Okay, I'm going to trust that you turned that camera off I'm just going to say camera off for a bit. Times 7 times 7, so B is equal to 35 times 8 times 8. 0. Whoops, backwards. E is equal to 0. That seems weird to me. Let's do a check. So we've got E divided by 8 is equal to 0. 0 divided by 8 is equal to 0. Well, yeah, I guess if I have no money and I divide it among 8 friends, we all get no money. Almost messed up there. And there we go. There's our check. The two numbers are the same. So J over 6 is equal to 2. Remember, that's a division sign, so I'm going to multiply by 6 here. Multiply by 6. And that's going to cancel out to 1. So J is equal to 12. Yeah. This feels awkward, but you can write it like that, and that's completely fine. As long as you're showing me your work and what you're up to, not a problem. So these two, but my brain doesn't see that canceling as nice this time, but they do. So this 9 and this 9 cancel out, and is equal to 36. All right, bottom of the page, let's see. Oops. C divided by 9 is equal to 3, so multiply by 9, multiply by 9. C is 27. G divided by 3 is 2. I'm going to multiply it by 3, multiply by 3. G is equal to 6. Now I'm going to go back to writing them this way. And my brain says that cancels out, which leaves me with just plain old K is 24. And 5 there, 5 there. Those cancel. P is equal to 35. I can't emphasize enough, you guys. You need to practice this stuff and practice it until you are bored silly. Because as it gets more complicated, you don't want to have to be going back and going, oh, how did I do that? How did that work? No, you want this to be cold. You got to get it right every single time. Because you are going to be a great mathematician.